So first of all, I want to point out that both myTool and Addtio are bringing extensive experience to the table when it comes to prototyping stuff. From the myTool perspective, it's more about the electronic subsystems of electromechanical parts. And for Addtio, it's more about the manufacturing and the 3D printing aspect of it. And first of all, we identified that there is a real lack within the community for efficiently prototyping electromechanical components. There are several commercial offerings that address that kind of issue, but actually, especially for within Europe, there is not really a concise service that offers a workflow that takes you completely from start to finish. And for many of our other partners and companies that we have dealt with, usually the way is to go to look for an industrialization partner in Asia, which comes with a lot of complex push logistics and some other like cultural barriers. And it's also in a way very wasteful because you're producing parts over there, you're getting them here, and then you're throwing them away when you don't use them anymore. And we wanted to address that with a different workflow where everything is much more localized and we can deal with that within partners that are more or less in the vicinity in a European context. And what was very nice for us is we got this advanced sustainability action plan from SmartSME. And this was one of the points where we really realized we have something on our hands here. We have like all the bits and pieces. We just need to put them together. And this is basically what we did in this project and what we tried to address. I mean, that's a big one, to be very honest. So as I already stated, we were looking for very efficient prototyping and for having a workflow that is very concise and takes you from start to finish. But there is a second thing. It also needs to be underpinned by a business plan that is actually workable so that it's feasible. And we also have the economics part of sustainability involved. So first of all, it's about this integrated prototyping workflow. We realized that in order to get functional parts and prototypes out fast, we need to work on the mechanical and electrical aspects side by side. Together with Addtio, we set up, how should I say, a way to interact over cloud services in order to have concise plans for those parts. And this is what makes things much faster if you just do it like the mechanical part first and the electrical part later or so on. And secondly, we also have to have the expertise when it comes to actually doing the mechanical aspect of this. Addtio are really experts in 3D printing aspects, and we used this technique we called overprinting in order to encapsulate the electronics within the part without the need for classical assembly, which also saves cost and saves time. And through the expertise within the fields when it comes to selecting the right materials and eco-design approach, we also managed to roll some lifecycle assessment into this step in order to generate parts that can be disassembled and actually use recycled materials that can be recycled further down the line. So we are even more reducing the environmental impact of this whole endeavor. When it comes to the business plan, we figured that especially to attract SMEs and players who are new in the field, we need to have a very transparent cost structure. And we need to keep this agile mindset in order to provide them with a workflow where you basically just pay as you go and you don't have like big upfront costs, so that it's much easier for people to adapt this. And in order to be able to communicate what we have done within this project, we built a little prototype for a vibration sensor where we as myTool took the role as the customer. And we use this for benchmarking the results on how much resources can we actually save, so that we have hard numbers to back that up. And we wanted to also provide some hands-on feedback on how this recycle and reuse strategy actually looks in reality, so that it's much easier to onboard potential customers in the future. So basically, it's a service, but it's in a way it's twofold, because on one hand, there is the 3D printing as a service, which is basically when you're buying the artifact. But on the other hand, you also need some consultancy, especially at the beginning of a project, in order to select for the right materials and so on, for example, in order to bridge the gap between the mechanical design aspect and the electronic design aspect. And this service is set up in a way that the customer can use it as a pay-as-you-go service model. So that since we want to attract other SMEs in Europe's digitalization sector, we want to provide them with a service that they can easily afford and that they can easily plan for, in order to opt for the local production route and have a successful product out there in a short period of time.
Yeah, currently we're at the promising state with the project together with our partner Addtio. So we've been able to develop a business case that aligns well with the existing services of Addtio, and have constructed a workflow for 3D overprinting of electronic components. So we were able to produce a small series of prototypes to see if our approach is practically. And all our performance indicators matched or even exceeded the initial estimates. So with this proof of concept, we can show the potential of the solution. And as we will shortly explain afterwards as well, we can show clear benefits with our benchmark. So we are very happy with the result. However, there is always room for improvement. So one logical next step would be to refine this developed workflow with the help of live project feedback in the work with an actual customer. Additionally, we would be interested of finding new alternatives to enclosing electronics with more focus on durability. In this project, we had to balance recyclability and durability. However, we would be very open to get more insights into alternative encapsulation techniques for even further enhancements. So to sum up, I think we laid a solid basis with this project. We can show the potential of the results and can show clear benefits. And so now we speak out in invitation to potential customers who would like to join us in this journey, to partner with us and to be open and interested for this innovative approach of overprinting electronics.
So yeah, we are having quite some impacts which can be measurable. If we are going to the standard ones, usually these are so. Now we are having a larger product portfolio which we can offer a service, and this means that we can generate additional revenue, which is planned to be higher for 20% in next 2 years. And yeah, let's say new channels of customers, especially this field of electronics and prototyping. So yeah, then we are having the other impacts, like we will use less material. We are focusing more on use of, let's say, green materials, which were already recycled or will be, let's say, possible in future. So yeah, that there are quite some impacts which will be also in the field of training, getting additional skills. So we are, let's say, also growing in our knowledge, which we can then transfer to the customer and customer applications. So yeah, in general, there are quite some impacts in different fields, from economical to, let's say, this standard technical or green. So
yeah, so firstly, it's crucial to recognize the dual benefits of this approach of overprinting electronic components from an economical and an environmental perspective. So unlike traditional manufacturing methods, which necessitate significant initial investments and larger production batches to get economically and ecologically viable, our 3D printing approach, overprinting approach for electronics, scales resource use and costs almost linearly. So this approach exceptionally well suits for prototyping and first small scaling phases. And incorporating this service model into Addtio's portfolio reduces the risk of customers and brings added values to their design development. From an environmental perspective, of course, we wanted to meet greenSME's environmental goals. We have decided to focus on the material recycled PET, in short, rPET, for the enclosures of our embedded electronics. So it's the same material and can be equally disposed of as a water drinking bottle. And we have found a design and all the approach to reduce the electronic waste by 33% if such a unit needs to be disposed of, due to the fact that we can recycle this rPET material. It even gets more impressive if it is the possibility to reuse and remanufacture the electronic embedded system, because this has been our focus also in the design phase. So if it's possible to reuse it, we can reduce the costs by 90% per iteration and can totally eliminate the electronic waste, which I would say is a good achievement. From a social perspective, as Alan already mentioned, I think we were able to enrich Addtio's work environment. So this transition from merely manufacturing 3D printed part to more of a service model brings new innovation, brings new revenues, and of course this necessitates and facilitates upskilling of staff. So specifically training in the field of embedded system development, which is really of high value in the job market. And last but not least, also to future customers, as you have addressed this also in your question, I think with this approach that we have taken in the project, we can provide customers a transparent cost structure. They can retain control on their design, on their intellectual property. They have partners here in Europe, use this network to prototype. And this brings, of course, short delivery times and short delivery ways. So there are many benefits, and again, warm welcome and invitation to partner with us and to go into a development project.
greenSME was analyzing our company, so they were preparing advanced ASAP plan. And yeah, this was quite helpful also for our partners and us, that we understand what we need to change and what we need to address in the project.
Yes, so I would definitely like to add that greenSME perfectly well served as a platform for the merging, for the networking, to get together with the companies. Of course, we met first within this greenSME framework with company Addtio, which is great. We have a great new partner now found in this framework. And of course, it's also the funding that has been provided, which gave us the opportunity to carry out this project with these promising results.